"Leave the assembly," Doyle ordered. "You're suspended for insubordination." The room froze, then erupted. Whispers, gasps, the squeak of chairs as 300 students turned to watch one girl stand alone. Zara Mitchell wasn't trying to start a revolution. She'd only asked a question, calm, respectful, clear. But in a world where confidence looks like defiance, her voice became a threat. And before the day was over, that single question would spark something far bigger than detention slips or school rules. Because what began as one girl being silenced would soon make an entire system listen. If you've ever spoken up for what's right and paid the price for it, hit like and subscribe. Because in the next few minutes, you'll see how one girl's courage to question authority will expose the truth her school tried to bury. And remind everyone that silence only wins when we let it. The room was silent before it exploded. Not a sound, just the squeak of chairs, the shuffle of shoes, and the low hum of the fluorescent lights above Brookdale High's auditorium. On stage, Principal Marianne Doyle stood behind the podium, arms folded like a judge preparing a verdict. "Respect," she said, voice slicing the air, "is not optional in this school. It is earned through obedience." A few students glanced at each other. Nobody spoke. Zara Mitchell, 17, sat 3 rows from the back, sketchbook on her knees. She wasn't doodling to be rude. It helped her listen. Her pencil moved quickly, tracing the microphone's outline on stage. Principal Doyle continued, tone crisp and cold. "Too many of you confuse attitude with expression. Starting this semester, anyone who uses a disrespectful tone will face immediate suspension. No warnings." A wave of whispers spread. Zara frowned. Immediate suspension? For tone? Beside her, Eli Tran muttered, "She's talking about you." "I haven't even said anything," Zara whispered back. Principal Doyle's gaze swept the crowd. "If you can't act like young adults, you don't belong here." Zara's pulse quickened. She'd spent years trying to stay invisible, quiet, respectful, top grades, yet the speech hit her wrong. The word attitude sounded like a threat. Before she could stop herself, her hand rose. It rose slowly, almost politely, but the silence made it feel defiant. "Yes?" the principal said tightly. "Zara Mitchell," she answered, standing. "If a student's calm and respectful but disagrees, is that still considered attitude?" Dozens of heads turned. "If a student speaks appropriately, there's no issue," Doyle replied. "But tone matters, Miss Mitchell." "So if someone's tone seems wrong to you, even if they're polite, they can still be punished?" The air thickened. Someone whispered, "She's got guts." "Miss Mitchell," Doyle warned, "this assembly isn't a debate." "I understand," Zara said softly. "I just think students deserve clear rules. Otherwise it's interpretation." That word cracked the silence. Even the assistant principal blinked. Principal Doyle's voice dropped. "Sit down." Zara hesitated. "I wasn't trying to—" "Enough!" The microphone screeched with feedback as Doyle's shout echoed through the hall. Every student froze. Zara's heart thudded. She hadn't raised her voice, yet she was suddenly the villain. "Leave the assembly," Doyle ordered. "You're suspended for insubordination." A collective gasp rippled across the room. Zara stared, stunned. She bent to pick up her sketchbook, the pages trembling in her hands. Whispers filled the space behind her as she walked toward the doors. Then came a single clap. Another followed. Then more, slow, deliberate applause that rolled through the auditorium like quiet thunder. Principal Doyle's face tightened, but no one stopped. Zara didn't turn back. She pushed through the double doors into the empty corridor. The lights flickered overhead. The air felt heavier out here, the kind that buzzes after something unfair. A minute later, Eli slipped through, holding his phone. "I got it," he whispered. She frowned. "Got what?" "The whole thing. Video and audio." Zara blinked. "You recorded it?" He nodded. "Every word she said. Everyone's going to know." For the first time since stepping outside, Zara exhaled. The tightness in her chest eased, replaced by something steady. Not relief, but resolve. She looked down at her sketchbook. The microphone she'd drawn earlier now seemed to stare back, a symbol instead of a shape. "Then maybe," she said quietly, "they'll finally listen." The hallway light buzzed, casting her reflection across the trophy case. One girl standing alone, holding proof the whole school would soon see. By lunch, everyone had seen the video. Zara Mitchell's question, the principal's shout, the moment of stunned silence, all of it looped on a dozen phones across Brookdale High. In the cafeteria, screens glowed above trays of half-eaten fries and open notebooks. Some replayed the clip for laughs. Others watched it quietly, shaking their heads. "She didn't even raise her voice," someone whispered. "Yeah, but she made Doyle look bad." "Still, suspension for that? That's crazy." Zara sat alone in the far corner, earbuds in but no music playing. Her phone buzzed non-stop. Notifications from classmates, a few messages from teachers, even a stranger's DM asking if she was the girl from the video. Her stomach twisted. She'd never wanted attention, just fairness. Across the room, Eli slid into the seat opposite her, tray clattering. "You're trending," he said quietly. "I didn't ask to trend." "I know. But look." He turned his screen toward her. The post had 2,000 shares. Caption: "Principal loses it after student politely asks a question." Zara stared at it. The thumbnail froze on her face mid-sentence, eyes calm, mouth open in reason, not rebellion, and yet the comments beneath were chaos. "Classic case of bias. Black girl shows confidence and suddenly it's attitude. This school needs a new principal." She should have stayed quiet. That's the rule everywhere. Zara locked her phone. "It's out of control." Eli leaned forward. "You didn't do anything wrong." "That doesn't matter now." At the far end of the cafeteria, a teacher appeared, Mrs. Lee, one of the few who'd always been kind. She approached cautiously. "Zara, Principal Doyle wants you in her office." Eli's jaw tightened. "Already?" Mrs. Lee gave a sympathetic look. "She's not happy about the video." The walk to the principal's office felt like a march. Every hallway conversation stopped when Zara passed. Some students nodded encouragement. Others turned away, afraid of being next. Inside, Principal Doyle stood by the window, phone in hand, eyes cold. Mr. Henson, the assistant principal, sat at the desk, clipboard ready like a witness. "Sit," Doyle said flatly. Zara obeyed. "I assume you know why you're here." "Yes, ma'am." "This video," Doyle said, tapping the phone. "You've caused quite a storm." "I didn't post it." "Perhaps not," Doyle replied, "but you instigated it. You disrupted an assembly, questioned school authority in front of hundreds of students, and now our district superintendent is calling for a report." Zara held her breath. "I only asked a question." Doyle's voice dropped, quieter but sharper. "You challenged me. That's what this is really about." The room fell still. "Respect," Doyle continued, "is not negotiable. You've made a public spectacle out of this school. And me." Zara's hands clenched in her lap. "Respect goes both ways." Doyle froze, her lips pressed into a thin line. "Effective immediately," she said finally. "Your suspension stands." 3 days. You'll use that time to reflect." Zara rose, heartbeat pounding in her ears. "I already have." Then she walked out. The air outside felt different, colder, sharper, almost electric. Students stared from across the quad as she stepped into the sunlight. Some started clapping again, others recorded. Zara didn't smile, didn't wave. She just kept walking. That night her mother sat at the kitchen table, apron still on from her diner shift, laptop open. The story had made local news. "Student suspended after questioning school policy." Her mom sighed. "Zara, honey, are you okay? I didn't mean for it to blow up." "I know." She reached across the table, squeezing Zara's hand. "But sometimes doing the right thing doesn't wait for permission." Zara nodded, eyes wet but steady. "They're going to hate me at school. Or they'll remember you were brave." The next morning, a knock rattled their door. It was Mr. Daniels, a teacher from the English department, the kind of teacher who stayed late to help kids rewrite essays. "I heard what happened," he said, "and I showed the video to a friend who works in local media. They might want to interview you." Zara's heart skipped. "Interview me?" He nodded. "They're calling it a student rights issue. People are starting to ask questions about how discipline is handled, especially toward black students." Zara looked past him, at the rain streaking down the street. She wasn't sure she wanted to be anyone's symbol. She just wanted fairness. But maybe the two weren't separate anymore. "I'll think about it," she said quietly. When the door closed, she leaned against it, breathing slow. Her phone buzzed again. Another message, this time from someone she didn't know. "You don't know me, but thank you. My sister went through the same thing. You spoke for us." Zara stared at the message until her reflection blurred in the screen. For the first time, she realized this wasn't just about one suspension. It was about every quiet voice told to fix their tone, and maybe, finally, people were starting to listen. If you're still watching, you can feel that moment when courage meets consequence. Tap like and subscribe if you've ever been told to stay quiet. Because what happens next will prove why some voices can't be silenced. The morning sun spilled through the diner windows, lighting the chrome counter and the scent of frying bacon. Zara sat in the booth by the window, hands wrapped around a mug of untouched cocoa. Her mother moved between tables, refilling cups with the weary rhythm of someone who'd been working since dawn. The bell above the door jingled. A man stepped in, mid-30s, camera bag on his shoulder, press badge clipped to his collar. "Zara Mitchell?" he asked softly. Zara looked up. "Yes, sir." He smiled. "I'm Derek Lawson from Channel 7. We spoke on the phone. Do you mind if we talk here? Just a short segment." Her mother approached cautiously, wiping her hands on her apron. "If she's not comfortable, you'll have to leave." Zara hesitated. Every instinct told her to stay invisible. But that choice was gone the moment the video hit the internet. "It's okay, Mom," she said finally. 10 minutes later, the small camera was set up across from her booth. The diner's low chatter hummed behind them as Derek adjusted the mic on her hoodie. "Don't overthink it," he said kindly. "Just tell your story the way it happened." Zara nodded, heart pounding. "Okay," Derek began. "So, Zara, what were you trying to say that day?" She drew a breath. "That students deserve to understand what rules mean, If we can be punished for how we sound, then anyone can twist that rule depending on who's speaking. He nodded. And when the principal suspended you? It didn't surprise me, she said quietly. It just hurt. Because I wasn't rude. I was calm. But somehow calm isn't enough when you look like me. The words hung in the air. Even the waitress behind the counter slowed, listening. Derek leaned forward. What do you want to happen now? I don't want anyone else suspended for asking a question, Zara said. I want fairness, not fear. When the interview ended, he packed up gently. You handled that beautifully, he said. This will air tonight at 6. You should prepare. Once it's out there, people will have opinions. Zara managed a small smile. They already do. By evening, the story had aired. The segment ran just 2 minutes, her voice steady over the clip of the assembly, Doyle's shout echoing like a gavel. The headline read, Student suspended for questioning policy. Parents demand review. The reaction was immediate. The school district's inbox flooded with messages. Local parents called the board office. A reporter camped outside Brookdale High's gates. And Principal Doyle, the once untouchable face of authority, found herself under scrutiny. Zara didn't watch it live. She sat in her room, sketching the outline of a girl standing beneath a storm, umbrella gone, hair wild but still upright. Her phone buzzed again. A call this time. Unknown number. Hello? Zara, this is Dr. Lin, superintendent of the district, said a composed voice. I'd like to meet with you and your mother tomorrow morning. We believe this matter deserves a formal review. Zara blinked. A review? Yes. And we'd appreciate your honesty. When the call ended, she just sat there, staring at the wall. What started as one question was now a district issue. She wasn't sure if that made her powerful or a target. The next morning, Zara walked into the district office with her mother by her side. Cameras flashed outside. Reporters shouted her name, but she kept her eyes down. Inside, the conference room smelled of coffee and paper. Across the table sat Dr. Lin, calm, composed, and beside her Principal Doyle, face tight and unreadable. Zara, Dr. Lin began gently, we reviewed the footage. It's clear your question was respectful. We're deeply concerned about how this was handled. Doyle's fingers twitched. With all due respect, Superintendent. No, Marianne, Dr. Lin interrupted softly. Respect is what's missing here. The words stunned the room. Dr. Lin turned back to Zara. On behalf of the district, your suspension will be revoked immediately. You'll return to school tomorrow, and we'll be reviewing staff training on bias and disciplinary language. Zara exhaled. Not triumph, just release. Her mother smiled faintly. Thank you. But as they stood to leave, Doyle spoke, quieter this time. Miss Mitchell. Zara turned. You embarrassed me, Doyle said. But you were right to ask. Zara studied her face. It wasn't an apology, not exactly, but it was something close. I didn't want to embarrass anyone, she said softly, just to be heard. For the first time, Doyle nodded. Outside, reporters crowded the steps. Microphones pushed toward Zara, voices overlapping. Zara, how does it feel to be reinstated? Do you think this will change the system? Are you proud of what you did? Zara paused, sunlight warming her face. I'm not proud because it went viral, she said, steady and clear. I'm proud because I told the truth, and I didn't shout to do it. The crowd went silent for a beat, cameras snapping in the quiet. Zara walked away through the flashing lights, her mother beside her, the air filled with noise she could finally walk through without fear. She didn't know what would happen next. But for the first time, she felt something she hadn't in a long time. Freedom, not from punishment, but from silence. When Zara walked through the school gates the next morning, the air felt different. Not louder, just watchful. Conversations paused as she passed. Whispers followed her down the hallway, some soft with admiration, others sharp with jealousy or disbelief. But Zara didn't shrink this time. She walked steady, her sketchbook hugged close to her chest, eyes fixed ahead. Her locker was plastered with sticky notes. Proud of you. You spoke for us. Don't ever stop. One, in neat handwriting, simply read, "Respect isn't obedience, it's understanding." She smiled faintly and peeled that one off, tucking it into her notebook. When she entered first period, even the teacher hesitated mid-sentence. "Welcome back, Miss Mitchell," he said softly. The room went quiet. Zara nodded. "Thank you." As she sat, a few students tapped the edge of their desks in quiet applause. Others looked away, afraid of being seen supporting her. But the silence didn't hurt this time. It felt earned. By lunch, the school was buzzing again, but this time about change. Rumors said the district had sent new guidelines for staff. A meeting on equity and discipline was scheduled for the week. Even Principal Doyle was rumored to be attending workshops herself. Zara found Eli sitting under the oak tree by the courtyard. "You made history," he said, biting into an apple. "I made a mess," she replied, sitting beside him. "Maybe," he said with a grin, "but a good kind." She laughed quietly. "You really think it matters?" He pointed toward the cafeteria windows, where younger students were talking, some recording short clips, others debating what had happened. "They're talking about fairness, Zara. When was the last time anyone here did that?" She followed his gaze. For once, the noise around her didn't feel like chaos. It felt like conversation. Change, even if it was slow. That afternoon, over the loudspeakers, a calm voice echoed. "Attention, students. There will be a brief assembly in the auditorium." Eli's eyebrows shot up. "Again?" Zara's pulse spiked, not in fear this time, but readiness. When she walked into the same auditorium where it all began, everything looked the same. The stage, the folding chairs, even the hum of the lights. But the energy was different. Expectant. Principal Doyle stood at the podium again, papers trembling slightly in her hands. "I owe this school," she began, "an acknowledgement." The crowd stilled. "Rules," she said, "are meant to guide, not to silence. Last week, I failed to remember that." Zara blinked. Doyle's tone wasn't defensive. It was careful, almost vulnerable. "I let authority outweigh understanding," she continued. "Miss Mitchell reminded us, with grace, that respect must be mutual. I want to thank her for that." Murmurs filled the room. Some students clapped. Zara sat frozen, unsure how to react. Doyle met her eyes from across the crowd. Just a moment, but enough. The look said, "I heard you." Then Doyle straightened, voice firm again. "Brookdale High will begin a review of our student conduct code. We're adding student representatives to the policy committee. Fairness starts here." The applause this time was loud, real. Zara didn't stand or wave. She just breathed, deeply, quietly, as the noise washed over her. Afterward, she stayed behind, sketching alone in the empty auditorium. Her pencil moved across the page, tracing the outline of a microphone, but this time it wasn't about confrontation. It was about voice. "Still drawing?" came a voice. She looked up. Principal Doyle stood near the exit, arms folded loosely. "Always," Zara said. Doyle nodded once. "Keep doing it. The world needs people who can see before they speak." It wasn't forgiveness or friendship, but it was peace. When the door closed behind her, sunlight spilled through the high windows. Zara packed her sketchbook and stood, her reflection caught in the polished stage floor. One girl, calm and steady, proof that quiet courage can echo louder than any shout. As she stepped out into the hallway, she passed a poster newly pinned to the wall. Student Voice Forum, open discussion next Friday. She smiled. It wasn't perfection. It was progress. And for Zara Mitchell, that was enough. 3 weeks later, the same auditorium that once held her humiliation now held anticipation. The stage lights glowed softly against the maroon curtains. Students whispered in their seats, phones in hand, ready to record. But this time, it wasn't a scandal. It was an invitation. Zara Mitchell was the guest speaker for the new Student Voice Forum. Backstage, she gripped her sketchbook like a lifeline. Her palms were sweaty, her heart hammering, not from fear of punishment, but from the weight of being heard. "Ready?" Eli whispered from the side curtain. "Not really," he grinned. "That's how you know it matters." Principal Doyle walked to the podium first, applause greeting her politely. Her tone was softer now, her posture less rigid. "Today marks a new beginning for Brookdale High," she said. "One where questions are not challenges. They're opportunities." Then she stepped aside. "Please welcome Zara Mitchell." The clapping started cautiously, then grew, not the forced applause of obedience, but genuine respect. Zara took a breath and walked on stage. The same spotlight that once burned now felt warm. "Hi," she began, voice wavering. "I'm Zara. Some of you know me better from a video than from class." Laughter rippled gently through the crowd. It eased her shoulders. "When that happened," she continued, "I thought it was the worst day of my life. I thought I'd ruined everything, but it turned out to be the day everything changed." She glanced down at her notes, messy scribbles across a page torn from her sketchbook. "I didn't plan to go viral. I didn't want attention. I just wanted to ask a question and be treated fairly while doing it." She paused. "And I learned something. Sometimes fairness isn't given. You have to make people see it." The auditorium was silent. Even the students in the back, the ones who usually scrolled through assemblies, were still. Zara's voice steadied. "We talk a lot about respect. But real respect isn't fear. It's listening. It's understanding that someone can disagree with you and still mean no harm." She looked out into the crowd, meeting eyes, friends, teachers, strangers. "I didn't speak up because I was brave. I spoke up because I was tired of staying quiet. And if you ever find yourself in that place, I hope you'll remember, you don't have to raise your voice to be heard." Someone in the front row started clapping, then another, and then the room filled with applause. Loud, standing, real. Zara blinked back tears. Doyle joined the clapping too, a faint smile crossing her face. For a second, Zara let it sink in. The sound of change, not shouted but shared. After the assembly, students gathered around her, some asking for advice, some just to say thanks. Even teachers lingered, awkward but sincere. When the crowd thinned, Principal Doyle approached. "You spoke beautifully," she said. "Better than most adults I know." "Thank you," Zara replied. Doyle hesitated. "The board wants to include students in reviewing new discipline policies. I'd like you to be one of them." Zara blinked. Me? You started this, Doyle said. You should help shape what comes next. Zara smiled, small but real. I'd be honored. Doyle extended a hand. This time Zara shook it without hesitation. That evening, as the sun dipped low over Brookdale's parking lot, Zara sat on the hood of her mom's car, sketchbook open. She drew the stage, the microphone, the crowd, not as enemies or judges, but as a chorus of faces finally listening. Her mother's voice came from behind her. You proud of yourself yet? Zara smiled. Maybe a little. Her mom chuckled softly. Good. Because you didn't just speak for you, baby. You spoke for every kid who's ever been told to stay quiet. Zara closed the book, the pencil tucked neatly between its pages. The lights inside the school flickered off one by one, leaving the building in soft gold twilight. For the first time, Zara didn't feel like she was walking away from trouble. She was walking toward something. Something that started with one question and turned into a movement. Quiet, steady, unstoppable. If stories like this remind you that dignity has nothing to do with titles, uniforms, or class, hit like and subscribe, so you never miss the next story where quiet strength turns judgment into regret, and respect finds its way home.